Greetings, friend, and welcome to the Between the Covers podcast, where we are working every day to remove the self-limiting beliefs that are preventing us from becoming the heroes of our own stories. I am Marcus Spar, and before we get into today's topic about reaching out, I do just want to remind you that if you have any questions or you have suggestions for people that we can research or interview for future hero studies, you can get in touch with me at the email address questions.btcpod@gmail.com. Again, that is questions@btcpod for Between the Covers Pod @gmail.com. I look forward to hearing from you. Now that that's done, let's talk about reaching out. This is something that I often challenge my clients on quite regularly, especially for those who are working through maladaptive coping mechanisms. But this is something that can be beneficial for anyone, for any stage of life. If you're like me and you grew up in the United States or some other Western society, then there tends to be a big emphasis on doing things on your own, on not bothering other people. There's this mentality that we need to just pick ourselves up. We should be strong enough to take care of whatever is coming our way. We should be smart enough. We should have all the resources that we need. This, that, and the other. And in a lot of ways, I kind of feel like we have just slipped into this mindset of pride that if we do need to ask for help, if we do need to reach out, then that's denoting that there's something wrong with us. That this pride of being self-sufficient is something that keeps us stuck, and in some cases even has us suffering through something that could be so much easier, not necessarily better, but easier, if we took the time to reach out to those who love and care for us. And not even just those who love and care for us, but organizations that are specifically designed for helping us out. I remember when I was going to college, it was a big moment of swallowing my own pride to admit that I needed food stamps in order to get all the groceries that I needed in a month. It was something that I don't even think I had considered until one of my parents had brought to my attention, they have a federal program that can help you out with this, and you probably make enough to qualify to get some kind of assistance. So I looked into it, and sure enough, I ended up getting, what was it, like an extra $150 a month just for groceries. And that went a long way to helping me survive when I was in college. I have also discovered that one of the things that keeps us from reaching out is there's almost this unspoken expectation or even belief that other people know exactly what's going on in our minds, while we also believe that we know what's going on in someone else's mind. And so when we are struggling, when we do need assistance, when we do need help, when we are suffering, we want other people to reach out to us. So they are the ones initiating, and all I have to do is say yes or no. That's oftentimes not how this works. Now, I would be open to some pushback on this. I don't know your story. I know my story. I know the stories of many of my friends and family. With the number of clients that I've worked with, this seems to be a pretty universal thing. So I could be wrong on this. It could be that your story is something entirely different. And if that's the case, that's great. It's nice that you had that kind of support and you were able to reach out for it and get the assistance that you needed. The vast majority of people that I've communicated with asking for help is a very hard thing to do. I have joked around with people in the past about the 500-pound cell phone, where you take something just like your cell phone here, and you can have it right next to you while you are wrestling with something, while you are in despair, while you're experiencing sadness or grief. And yet, picking this up in order to dial a number or just look up a contact and ask to call or even send a text. It's so hard to pick this thing up from here and bring it up here because the cell phone suddenly weighs 500 pounds or maybe even more, depending on your level of reluctance to pick that phone up. And when I talk with my clients about this, one of the things that I do often tell them is it's good to have the practice of reaching out to people that you trust before you're in crisis. If you are unable to reach out to these people when things are going okay, then you're not going to when you're in crisis. When you are in crisis is where our true habits really come into shape. It's when we see how we have invested our time and our intentions compared to when things are going well. So if you know of someone that you can reach out to, someone that you can just message back and forth with, someone that you can call and just have a quick conversation. It doesn't have to be something large and grand. You can have a quick 5-minute conversation. I have this option with my clients that they can schedule a 15-minute quick call with me. Just quick 15 minutes. It's not a full-on hour-long conversation. It's just, I need something really quick right now. In fact, I had a client who took me up on this just this morning, actually. I wasn't even working yet. I was up. I was sitting on the couch taking care of some things on my phone, and all of a sudden I get a phone call. This is before 8 o'clock in the morning. And it was a client of mine who was in crisis, and he was really wrestling with something. And so we took about 15-20 minutes just to talk, just so he could get it off his chest, what he was feeling, what he was processing, what he was thinking. He asked for some insights from me, and we are able to just look at things from all sorts of different perspectives to help alleviate some of the shame that he was experiencing. And that was what he needed. This is something that not all clients take me up on, considering this is a free resource for them. I do not charge them for this time. And so few actually take me up on it. And if you are listening to this and you are one of my clients, I just want to remind you, this is a resource that you have available. If you do utilize it, I'm so glad that you do. Back to my original point here, that if we do not have the habit of reaching out to people when times are going well, then we absolutely will not when times are floundering, when we are experiencing distress or sadness, grief, anger, whatever it happens to be. We're really bad about following through on new habits when we're in a very emotionally charged state. So that's why I encourage people, and I encourage you, if you have someone in your life who you trust and you want to help support you through whatever it is that life is throwing your way, then start these conversations when things are going well. Don't wait until you have some big thing that's come up, because You have to practice. This is a muscle, essentially, that you have to practice. You have to develop those neural pathways in your brain that say, I am familiar and I am accustomed to picking up this 500-pound phone and reaching out to someone via text or through a phone call, whatever it happens to be. And I'm used to contacting this person. That needs to be practiced. So if you have someone that comes to mind as I'm talking about, someone who is a mentor, is a teacher, a coach, therapist, friend, family member, whatever it happens to be, if you have someone in your life that you can actually get in touch with and who is able to be there for you, then start to reach out to them on a much more regular basis. Feel free to even let them know why you're starting to do this, because I want to develop a stronger relationship and I want to develop a habit of when things do get rough that I am able to pick up the phone and get in touch with you. A good friend of mine went through something horrible, and it's not my story to tell. However, it's someone who is very close to me. I love him dearly, and he was going through a grief process over the course of, it was really about a week. And when it hit him in the beginning, it was really, really hard. And I saw him take the time to reach out to some good friends and family that he is close to. And they supported him. It was that Sunday night when it happened. That following Monday, I received a text from him and he was asking what time I got off of work. And we started this conversation. I found out, oh, he's going through something rough right now. At that point, it didn't matter what time I got off of work. It's like, I have the time. I'll come support you. And I went and had lunch with him. We ended up going to the dog park not too long afterward. And we were there to support him. I made myself available to him. And this is a friend who has very much struggled with reaching out because he wants to have that self-sufficiency. And I told him that I want to be there for him. And he's like, I know, but just reaching out and admitting that I'm hurting and that I need the help, that's really hard for me to do. And he had a very legitimate concern. And that was, I'm afraid that if I reach out and I'm honest about what I'm going through, then there's going to be judgment. You're going to look at me differently. And I was so appreciative of him and his willingness to express that. And I told him, reach out to me. I will not disappoint you. And he did. He reached out sometimes. I wasn't the only person that he got in touch with. He pressed into his support network very powerfully. And he is doing so much better. There might still be some reminders of that grief from time to time. And that's just a part of how the grief process is. Yeah, I am so proud of this friend for honestly trusting me to be there to support him and to help. Because of that, and I'm not going to say this is 100% the reason for the outcome that he experienced, but it definitely played a role in his grief really only going for about a week. And then it kind of eased up. And he would still have those pangs from time to time. But that reliance on his friends and family started diminishing after that first week. And we still checked in on him just to make sure. And he was feeling so much better. And that is the value of reaching out, and that is the value of having a community. When we live in these Western societies that focus so much on the nuclear family, on individualism and working and achieving based on our own merits, one of the things that we often forget about is that we are a social species. We do not do well when we are alone. A stark reminder of this are some people who do have a committed and loving relationship, and they could be sitting in the exact same room, maybe even next to each other, and they feel alone. I have had to be the bearer of bad news for some of my clients when we're talking about relationships and they're struggling with loneliness, and they're like, I just want to find that one person that I can share the rest of my life with, and this mentality that this other person can complete them. And thankfully, this isn't something that I have too many conversations about. Most people, especially in the younger generations, oh God, am I really admitting that? Like, even, I guess, some younger millennials, but mostly from Gen Z and moving forward, they are recognizing the importance of having that close-knit community. And older millennials like myself and those who are Gen X, they have struggled with this message that we need to be self-sufficient and self-reliant. We need to focus on this individualism, but if there's something missing, then it comes from one other person. And you can see this in some of the language that we use. I used to be one of those people that would introduce my partner Libby as my better half. That's not the case. And it's not because I am not smoothed around the edges thanks to my relationship with Libby. But she can't be the only person that I rely on. I cannot be the only person that she relies on. That is a lot for one person to have to hold on to. That is an incredibly heavy burden for one person to bear. And as I'm saying this, I do want to recognize that there may be some people, this may even be you, who doesn't have this kind of community. Oh man, I have a client who, whenever he tries to find that community, he ends up feeling ostracized in the end, and it's been tragic over the years. And it's something that we try and work through, and it's so hard. If you're someone like that, who you don't necessarily have a solid community, or even like one person that you can turn to, then I'm going to go back to a message I have shared on many, many episodes before this one. It's important to keep looking. There is a community out there that will love and support you. In fact, one of the things that I've noticed is I've had some very interesting conversations with people over here in southeastern Washington state. This is a very conservative area. It's definitely Republican when I don't lean Republican. And I have just been honest with some people that I've had conversations with. And I have been able to expand this community. I had the experience at a convention earlier this year that someone made a passing joke that if she said it to the wrong person, oh, she would have come under fire. And thankfully, she said it to me. And I understood where she was coming from, and I understood why she had said what she said. Because as soon as she said it, she pretty much, eyes wide open, covered her mouth and was like, like, oh my God, I can't believe I just said that out loud. And I was able to be a person that just shared that solidarity with her. And it was really, really cool that I was able to support her and turned into a safe person for her to just open up. I was a complete stranger to her. I was trying to buy some things that she was selling at this convention. And we ended up having a much deeper interaction than we did before. There is a barista at our new favorite coffee shop that I was able to just make some comments to about some jewelry that she was wearing. And we had a very open and candid conversation about what it's like for us to live in this area where you kind of have to be careful what you adorn yourself with. There are some, let's just be honest here. When I was at this convention, I bought some necklaces, and some of them I have yet to wear in front of my family because I know that they would be alarming to some of my close family who are conservative. So I kind of keep those to myself. I might wear them in public, but the one that is the most concerning happens to be one that gets covered up by my ever-growing beard here. But I am just being myself. And just by being myself and by having honest conversations and asking curious questions to people, I have been able to have good and strong connections with complete strangers. And a big benefit to this is I don't feel so alone. When I was first deconstructing my Christian faith, living in a place that is conservative, swings very Christian, I was really struggling with who I could actually be honest with. And I'm so glad that I have my friends that I play D&D with. I'm so glad that I have my partner Libby. I'm so glad that I have Ben. I have Katie and Brandon. I have John and Dan. I have a therapist who understands where I'm at. And through a lot of the things happening politically over here, I was even able to connect more with my eldest brother. Turns out he and I tend to share some things in terms of our political views. And it was so great to have all of these people around here that I can be honest with and I can be myself with. And you know what? Two of my friends, they are people that I reach out to when I'm struggling. And they have not disappointed me. Just this last weekend, I had a moment where Libby was going to a quilt show with her mom. And I reached out to these two friends and I said, are either of you free right now for a conversation? I just need to have a quick conversation. And within minutes, one of them gets back to me. And he and I probably had like a 15-minute conversation. And I was able to get some things off of my chest that I really needed to. And he provided an empathetic and understanding ear and shared about some of his own struggles with what I was going through. And then we connected a little bit on just life in general. And then we hung up the phone and went our separate ways for the day. And that is what I needed. I needed to have someone who would create that space for me so that I could be myself with all of my myriad emotions with all of the thoughts that I was having, and I could just be honest and say, this is where I'm at, this is what I'm going through, and this sucks right now. And my friend was like, I understand, and I'm here for you. I felt so much better afterward. So much better. So if you do not have these friends, then I urge you, continue looking for them. I've probably said this before on a previous episode, but I wish that I could have found these people way sooner than I actually did. I wish it didn't take me into my 30s to find these people. However, even though it took me longer than I would have liked, I am so glad that I have these people. I'm so glad I have friends and family in my life who I can reach out to and I can just be honest. And they create that space for me. It's something that we all need. We thrive when we are in a supportive community with others. And if we don't have that, we are just going to be in survival mode. I have been there. Survival mode sucks. Something that I've been experiencing a lot since 2023. And having other people around me to support me, and who in return I support when they need me, has been one of the biggest blessings of my entire life. So keep looking. Keep looking until you find the people who will love and support you. They are out there. They really are. It might be a change of scenery. It might be a change of how you are expressing yourself. Maybe to find these people, you have to take a scary step of actually being honest with yourself, to be honest with others about what you're thinking and about what you're feeling, what your fears are. But those people are out there, I assure you. You are not so unique that you cannot find someone else that you can be in solidarity with. I hope this has been encouraging, and I just want to remind you that you are not alone, and we absolutely need you. We need you to be the hero of your story. And until next time, live strong for today.